Do you ever look at someone's polished podcast and think to yourself, how the heck do they do this every single week, week after week? Spoiler alert for you, it is not magic, but it is workflow. And today we are diving into all things how to optimize your workflow, but also giving you a behind the scenes look at not only our workflow, but some others. Let's get into today's conversation. Welcome to this week's episode of Behind the Workflow. My name is Simona Costantini.
And I'm Taly Mello.
And today we are doing something a little bit different and a lot of fun. We found in our research, we found a whole bunch of Reddit threads and subreddit threads having to do with podcast workflow. And we started reading them and we got really excited about all the things that people are doing and how people have their workflows set up. So we're going to dive into some of the workflows that we saw on Reddit, how we would optimize them, what we think about them, and we'll also give you a little bit behind the scenes on our own workflow for this podcast as well. We're going to share Taly's screen with you, and I think Taly, are you just going to read the first one and surprise and we'll see, or want to go into this one first? Okay, that sounds good.
So yes, here's Simona. I found this one on Reddit and I thought this was very interesting because the person actually drew it out for us. And so I wanted us to dive in this one first. And for those that are listening, we will try to describe as much as possible so you can get a full view or an understanding. But you could also go to our YouTube channel and look for the video as well. All right, so this one
This was
basically broke.
so overwhelming to me, Taly. When I
This
first looked at this one, I was like, what am I looking at?
Yeah, all the arrows, like different directions. It did take me a while to understand, but I do like the fact that he broke it down into like pre-production, production, post-production, distribution, and marketing. And this reminds me of like how we have our stages set up. Like right now on Northflow, you could actually create your own stage. Okay, Simona, let me know if this is similar to your current workflow. All right, so for pre-production, he has research, and then from research, he writes. From writing, which I'm assuming he's writing like some type of script or like an outline of what he's going to be doing the episode about. And then from there, he's doing the copyright check, and he also does the title and description. And if there is an interview, he prepares for that interview during that pre-production as well.
So this is so interesting to me because in the pre-production process, research, yeah, I mean, if you're doing research on a topic or a guest or, conversation or whatever it is, for sure. What's interesting, and I've seen some podcasters do this, titling and giving their show a description before it's even recorded, which I think is so interesting to me because personally, I don't really love that method because I don't think it leaves enough room for creativity or to let the conversation flow into where it's supposed to go. So I think it's really interesting that you do titling, like you would do titling and description first. And full disclosure, copyright check is not something that I ever do, but anytime I see something about copywriting, I always feel like I should be paying more attention to copywriting, especially when it comes to clips and music. But I feel like that is so nuanced nowadays of copywriting and all that. So not something that I personally do, but research, yes. I don't really write a whole lot because I don't script out my episodes or anything like that. And even for this podcast, we have talking points and we have bullet points, but we're not sitting here writing out full episodes, but some podcasts do require that. And then so again, going into the title and description, that is something that I do in actually post-production. And then prepping for your interview, yeah, of course, I would do that in pre-production as well. I think is there anything that you think is missing from pre-production, Taly, that we do on our end that isn't done here?
No, I think he covered at least everything that we currently do on ours. One thing though, like on the copyright, I guess it really depends on like the type of show that you have. Maybe this show that he's running, they do have to check what they're saying. Maybe it's like facts, So it would make sense to some types of episode or like podcast, but I don't think like in our case, ours wouldn't really matter.
Yeah. Interesting. And one thing that I will say in pre-production that is important is from an SEO side, if you're going to do some research into topics and key topics, you want to check and see different keywords that people are searching for, maybe before you're recording your podcast episode. But Right? So from that point of view, I would say like maybe that's what they mean by title and description, but I wouldn't go and write like a full title and a full description because I just feel like
Yeah.
it kind of stops the creativity even when we're planning our episodes. Like we have our episode ideas that we put into the pre-production cards for each episode, but at the end of the episode, the final title is different based on what the content was talked about. And I feel like if you're looking from an SEO point of view and from a searchability point of view, you want to make sure that your titles and your descriptions are accurately reflecting the content that is inside the
Mhm.
episode.
Yes, yes. The whole pre production phase, I think it's very critical because you need to understand the foundation. What are you trying to say here, right? So that's where it's very important to have that workflow. I love numbers, and I have this on my outline, so I wanted to go ahead and read it. So a study by ClickUp showed that teams with clearly defined stages completed projects 20% faster. And
Mm.
I think really like having that pre-production and all of your stages set up where it's easy for you to follow, it does help the overall team. And even if you're like a one person running the whole thing, it helps you stay on track of what happens next. So talking about next, Simona, what about production? Like, how do you feel about this? Like here they have record, intro and outro, or if it's also an interview, he's saying that he would record an interview during the production phase.
I think that the production piece on here actually looks pretty accurate. The actual production side, you're recording and you're getting all of your elements and all of your pieces together. This could also be recording any ads that you have. That could be a really interesting one too. So you would want to actually go in and record that, which is again, if you're adding ads to your show, then you would do that in the pre-production piece. Like you maybe would write the scripts and all that and have all of it organized beforehand so that when you get into production, all you have to do is hit record.
Yes, and then the next thing I see here is post production. So that would include like the editing, clips, music, exports, all of what happens after you're done recording that specific episode.
Exactly. And I feel like this looks really good. It looks really clean. And one thing that I like about this graphic is that the more that you look at it, like when I first looked at this, I was like, this is so chaotic. Like, how do you even organize? Like, I was like, I don't even know what I'm looking at and what I'm reading right now. But it's very clear of who is responsible for what in the process, which I love. And again, something that we actually incorporated on Northflow as well is being able to assign tasks to different people so that if you have someone responsible for different elements in different parts of the production process, so in your different stages, then you know exactly who is responsible for what and the timeline in which it needs to be created by. That's one thing that I think is missing from this is we don't have the timeline. So how long does it take to do your research? How many days do you need to record before you need to edit? How long are you giving yourself to edit, right? And then how long are you giving
Yeah.
yourself to create the clips? And then when does it get distributed and so on and so on. So I think that there's like a timeline piece, a timeliness that is missing from this that I
Hmm.
believe is solved with Northflow because you can assign dates directly and you know
Yes.
exactly what is happening by when, what is due by when you're going to start each task, and when each task is going to be completed by, and who is responsible for it. So I think that's something that's missing. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agreed. And one thing that we do on our own workflow, we add Simona, whenever her agency is done editing our episode, either Simona or Emily, they go into Northflow and they add all the links from all the shorts that we're going to be using, all of the Instagram stories. It's all on Northflow. So when I go in to grab that and post it on social, I know exactly where to go. Like I don't have to be going around like
Mm.
looking up for it on Google Drive or anything like that. It's all in my task and I know exactly what I need to do from there. So that's very helpful, especially like if you're running an agency with multiple people, they know exactly where to go to for that file so they can do their part of the work, right? The next step.
This is such a good point, Tally. I actually did not even think about this until you said that this document is not clickable. You can't open any of these cards up. You can't open up any part of this process and get what you need. It is fully just the overview of the whole process, which is great. But then now that's going to require another tool for you to build out the workflow in, right? So why not have both of those parts of the process in one spot that is clickable, that is time bound, that people are assigned to their tasks, and you can get everything you need directly in one spot. So I think that is a huge pain point that a lot of creators, a lot of producers, a lot of agency owners run into. It's like you have
Mhm.
the overview, you have the SOP, and that's great, but why not have a templated card that has that SOP in it all the time, right? Like in Northflow, you have a template that you've created that you follow every single episode with the automatic person assigned to it. So you don't have to go in and recreate it every single time. So one thing that this could benefit from is like a clickability piece, I think, for sure.
Yes, for sure. Yes. And then the next thing that he have here is distribution. So from export, that goes into the RSS feed, which goes to the website. And then also he exports the audiogram, and then I guess he posted on Patreon and also YouTube. And then from the website, so these two to me, like they go hand in hand, the distribution and the marketing piece, because once it goes to the website, he's also sharing that on his email list and also on the social media. So at least on our process for behind the workflow, we use like these two phases here, they're merged.
Yeah, exactly. And we also even have like the actual task of content creation that we would put in post production as a whole separate task, not just clips, but it's also taking the content that we've created and prepping it for all the different platforms. So you have your clips for YouTube, you have the stuff that goes on Instagram, you have LinkedIn, all the different pieces. And then they get built out even further. So it's not just about clipping 5 clips and calling it a day. It's what is the
Yes.
actual strategy behind the promotion of the show? And then how does your workflow support you and help you doing that so that all of the team members are on the same page and everyone has all of the documents that they need, like you were saying, Taly, like all the links that you need right off the bat. So, how do we rate this workflow 1 to 10?
1 to 10, I would say a 7. I like
Yeah.
how everything it has a key of who does what, but there's not an like a name specifically
Yeah.
attached to it. And if I were using this, I would probably be a bit confused on some of the arrows. But overall, I think it was a solid 8 for sure. What
I
about
think
you?
so.
What do you think?
Oh, you said 7 and then you said 8.
Yeah, between a 7 and an 8, then
Okay, then I'll do the same,
seven and a
7.5.
half.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I feel like it's really good. It's definitely like a good overview, but how do you take this now and then make it a step further? How do you make this workflow work for you every single time so that you don't have to go in and recreate it in like a Trello card or
Yeah.
in a spreadsheet or whatever? It's literally already just exists for you. And every time you have a new episode, you just from a click of a button create a new card and everything populates and the template populates for you. So that I think
Yes.
is missing here. But overall, 7.5 sounds good to me.
Yeah. Well, there's another piece here that I think it's important and he didn't
Mm,
account for, which would be what happens after all of this is done, right?
right.
Like, are they going back as an agency or as a single podcaster? Are you going back and checking the analytics? Like, did that episode
Mm.
perform well? Did you get any feedback from any of your listeners? Like the email list, even like did people actually open and click to listen to your episode? Those are important pieces that it will help you create better content for the next episode or like in the future whenever you do have some data that you can look back on.
I love that. I completely agree with you. Should we do one more? What do you think?
Yes, let's do one more.
Okay, let's do
We'll
one
try
more.
to make this one a little quicker.
I just had so
All
much
right.
to say about the other one, you know?
I know, and it was nice that it had a good visual, so it helped us
Mhm.
really dive a little bit into it. So this one is I'm just gonna read it to you, and then we'll read the comment because there's a specific comment here that I think was really good. All right,
Okay.
so podcast workflow or production management. I guess they're asking about that, right? So I'm a new podcaster and wonder if there are any tools specifically for podcast production or workflow management. Also, what are the steps every good podcast must take to produce an episode? I'm assuming everyone does it a little differently. True, true, very true.
It's
But
true.
there must be core things everyone does. A tool which guides me would be great. So,
Oh, Northflow.
yes. All right. So this person here, they were very very good at like writing all of
Oh,
these.
wow. Look at all
So
that.
so they use Notion,
Mhm.
They have, but what the way they did it, they have a checkbox. So I'm assuming, based on what I know from Notion, is that they have like one episode card and they have a
Mhm.
checkbox for all of these steps. So they gonna read them to you, and you tell me what you think, okay? All
Okay.
right. So brainstorm guest or topic, and then they write questions, approach
Mhm.
the guest, schedule the guest, and then if a certain kind of episode, prepare for that by reading. So they
Mhm.
do some type of planning. Yeah, I like that person because they plan ahead. And then and then they record the main episode, record the intro and the outro, check the episode art for YouTube, create the episode art for Anchor.fm,
Oh, wow, that's
download.
how you know that this is older advice because Anchor is now Spotify
Right.
for creators.
Yes, yes. So
That's so
this
funny.
is 3 years old.
Okay, but
And then,
still relevant.
yeah, it still applies. And then download audio from the recording tool, import and edit audio in DAW, clip and save any bloopers.
Oh, that's actually funny, I like that,
I
okay.
know. We will have some funny ones
Oh
on
my
this one.
gosh, I feel like we would really have a whole separate podcast.
Yes, just on that. Import and edit video in video editing software. So they have all of these additional steps. Like
I
nowadays I
love
feel like we could do it like on Descript or Riverside. Edit blooper audio and video, create transcript, edit transcript, create show notes, final clearance to publish, upload notes and audio to Anchor, Spotify, schedule release, upload notes and video to YouTube, schedule release, upload notes, audio and video to Patreon, and schedule release. That's a lot of like
Oh, wow.
upload bloopers, audio and video to Patreon and schedule release. Create WordPress posts with show notes and then transcript. Schedule release.
This is
Episode
making me so
complete.
tired. Like, I'm
I know.
overwhelmed looking at a lot of
So
but it's all things that, like, you do. You know what I
mhm.
mean? But it feels so stressful looking at this list.
Yes, it does. And then the episode is complete. Delete component files. Hmm.
Hmm,
Does that mean they don't have a backup? Like,
which I wouldn't
would you?
recommend. Just get an external hard
Ooh,
drive.
I know. And then final video through Handbrake to reduce size for final storage. Okay, no, that makes me feel a little
Oh,
better. So
wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they do keep it. And then the final storage. Yes. So,
Interesting.
and they're actually asking if anyone has a better solution or task management to let them know.
We do.
So, yes.
First of all, I really despise Notion in general. I don't use it. And it's always been more challenging for me to use Notion. And a few years ago, I set out to actually try and create like a podcast management board on Notion. And it was so complex that it like was too almost too much. But then also there was key components in Notion that I needed in my podcast management process that didn't and like couldn't essentially like duplicate, if you will. Like I couldn't do repeat tasks and stuff like that. So I don't know, I never liked Notion for it, and so I can only just imagine how chaotic this board must look with all of these checklists and like all of these things. I just feel like there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's organized from start to end of all of the things that you would do, so that part's really good. But I don't know, I look at this list and this would make me be like, I don't think I want to do a podcast because it's stressful.
A bit overwhelming for sure. Well, one thing that I do have to give to Notion is that they do have an option that you can just copy, you can duplicate that. So whenever they do create that checklist, before they start checking things off, they could duplicate that. This way they have it ready for the next episode. So I I personally like Notion, but I think it can be complex if you're not sure what you're doing there.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that was like one of the things whenever we started working on Northflow, we talked to so many people and a lot of them did use Notion and they were telling us like, I like the fact that I could do this, but when I started connecting different databases or trying to connect it with Zapier, sometimes things just go wrong. And you
Yeah.
know, that's a big gap on a workflow because you don't know if you can rely on it.
Exactly. And then even more than that, you still need all of the extra tools, right? You still need a calendar booking link. You still need a forms. You still need a website. Like you still need all of these different things, which is all offered within Northflow, right? You have your one software to manage the whole show, create your website, have your intake form, your booking calendar, the stages of your production, the production schedule. Like there's a lot of really key components in the podcast workflow and in the production workflow that you don't get in any other software. So I feel like it's good. Notion's fine from like just a project management point of view, but then you still need all of this other stuff. And then eventually we'll roll out projects and into Northflow as well. So you'll be able to build out other types of projects. So if you're doing like a podcast launch or you have a different project that you're working on. So there's a lot of things that I think Northflow like over exceeds just regular task management, And that's one thing that's great for our own podcast. Like for Behind the Workflow, even though we have a website for Northflow, we didn't need to go and recreate a whole new website page for Behind the Workflow. It already is there. It already exists. We didn't need to buy Calendly to do bookings or to take guest interviews or anything like that. We don't need to piece work and match up Google Forms with something else to make the system talk together so that we can all see the answers to the forms. Like everything is just already there. Why would you not?
Yes. And, there's still ways that you could possibly do all of this, but it's so many different steps, so many different tools. So, we just try to not make it complicated. So, 4 key takeaways. You just need to not overcomplicate things. Start your process. What steps you repeat every time? Just like ask yourself like these questions, like what are some of the things that I'm doing over and over? And if you can, even write it on a piece of paper. Just like try to list everything, kind of similar to what that person did, like all of the steps that you're currently doing, and see what are the things that you're always repeating that you can turn it into an actual workflow.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and also, I would say like to group things into phases, like the pre production, like that visual one that we saw, like they had the pre production, production, post production, and also like the distribution part. But don't forget to actually add a section where you're analyzing, you're going back to some of the things that you did and you're actually analyzing it, making sure that, looking around to see what other people are saying. Like if you had comments on your episodes, what are some of your own key takeaways that you can get from that you can improve next time you record something? And you don't have to just do that on your own. Like you can start with things that you're already using, like Google Docs, Trello, sticky notes, or you can use Northflow. It's totally up to you. Then you can grow from there. And if you're managing multiple shows too, like build a template and see how you could reuse that.
Mm-hmm.
How can you be more efficient on the overall day-to-day operations that you do on the things that you do to get your episode out there? Anything else that you would like to add on this too, Simona?
Not so much on the key takeaway side, but I will say we're also in the process of accepting our very, very last founding members. So being a founding member of Northflow means that you get the most incredible price on the product once it launches with pricing, which is very, very soon. So if you do want to get in as a founding member of Northflow, go to the link in the episode notes below where you can request an invite. It's on an invite-only basis right now, so you have to request an invite. We will let you in. Happy to hop on a demo call with you so we can show you all of the amazing features of the product, but make sure you get on this ASAP. And if you are listening to this later on, months and years from when this was released, get in touch with us. We would love to have you as part of our community. Taly, is there anything
Yes.
else you want to add before we sign off for today?
Yes, I just want to add one more thing. So, whenever you're ready for a system that can scale with you, with your company, with your agency, or if you're managing your own podcasts, give Northflow a try. It's built by people who actually live in the production trenches, just like you. And as we always say, we're building Northflow with the community. So, if you ever notice anything, just let us know. We would love to get your feedback.
Amazing. Thank you all for being here today. We hope you had fun doing this episode with us. We cannot wait to see you next episode Behind the Workflow.